Welcome to this next episode of YouTube. We've entitled it More Snow. And yes, we received more snow. And certainly by the look of Aiden's face, I think that kind of expresses the same emotion we're feeling as enough is enough. We are limiting where we can access throughout the enclosure. And as a matter of fact, the wolves are not even using a portion of the enclosure because the snow is so deep. We are maintaining the fences and keeping snow away from the fences, making sure that the waters are open, but we're back to maybe shoveling the roof again, so that may mean another pile of snow in the enclosure. And we took this on last Friday when it was just starting to snow, and we got another nearly foot of snow, and everybody's trying to get away from it. Of course, some have an easier time than others, and here's Bolts who's trying to hide behind a snowbank, and Luna found him anyway. So Luna seems to be fine with the snow. As a matter of fact, we're concerned that this deep snow, kind of charging through the deep snow, is going to cause her some discomfort or at least some issues with her back leg. But so far, we haven't seen any indication of problems. The wind continues to be an issue. This is Denali up in the wood line. And obviously wind is one of those things in a forested environment that causes trees to come down. So wolves get a little bit nervous in the trees, but also it's very disorienting because you can't tell which way scents are coming from. They're kind of whirling around in the variable winds, and it makes for a little bit of a challenge. So we do see the wolves using quite a bit of the front of the enclosure. We are keeping straw beds maintained. Again, it's in addition to the snow. Once the snow stops, we seem to be settled in another deep freeze, and so we're back down this week to 20 to 30 below zero again for this week. And for this late in February, that's a little bit of a challenge. So we continue to try to manage everybody as healthy as we can given the conditions. And again, Luna does not seem to have any issues with mobility and getting around. You see a little bit of a limp there and a little bit of a turn of that back right leg, but doesn't stop her from interacting. The deep snow does have a lot of rodent activity. That's the one thing. The rodents are very well protected from the cold because they can tunnel under this very light snow, and that makes for a lot of activity throughout the enclosure as these rodents come and go from the straw beds to get themselves some seed and some food, and then run back into cover. So we've seen the wolves very actively hunting in the front of the enclosure, and various things that keep them entertained. We are still feeding a lot of food. We are going through a significant amount of food as this cold weather begins. So not only do we have the deer and the beaver on the weekends, but we're making sure that everybody, including the retirees, are getting meals every couple of days, if not on a daily basis as these temperatures drop. So lots of chicken, lots of beef for Shadow. Shadow's taken to only wanting beef right now. And lots of snow. So like I said, we have banks that were placed there the first time we shoveled snow off the roof, and we're getting very close to shoveling again. So we'll see how long this snow is going to last into the spring. These banks could very well be here through June. So the interesting thing that we see about having these tall banks of snow is that we're starting to see some pretty distinctive patterns of use. Luna and Aiden, being the dominant pair, will typically try to vie for the highest vantage point. That's a little bit of a sign of status there. But Luna likes to lunge down at those below her, and Bolts is typically the recipient of the Luna chase from the top of the hill, and she can keep up. And Bolts will try to get to the top of the hill, but just can't get there. So status-wise or wolf-wise, he's definitely being put in a lower-ranking posture by Denali whenever there's a chase. But one thing to quickly watch here is Luna, and Luna is kind of the, yes, she is a dominant female, but she's also a pup mate to Bolt. So some of this wrestling may not be status. This just may be juvenile social behavior. But Aiden is very quick to step in and intervene when Denali is getting a little bit more dominant with Bolts. And most likely that is just a protection of his rank. You know, as you watch Aiden, he is smaller than Denali. It takes him quite a bit more to put Denali down physically. So it does make sense that behaviorally you're going to want to always address dominance issues with that larger pack member who happens to be his litter mate. And notice how Bolts just comes right in. And now Bolts got to the top of the hill. Only because Aiden was kind of keeping Denali under control. And this is Aiden in pursuit of Denali. Luna, again, she's whoever is on the bottom, doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter how big they are, she's going to be right there to assert some rank. But these kind of things go on, like I said, more on these kind of windy days when they're a little bit tense to begin with. Their sensory abilities are affected. Everybody's kind of on edge, and, you know, not to anthropomorphize, but I think we're all sick of winter, and I believe that dominating and pinning other wolves maybe makes you feel like you're going to get through the winter. I don't know. These are kind of short-lived. Denali gives in. He basically submits to Aiden. Aiden goes about his business, and things are over. So this is, like I say, Denali doing that kind of obnoxious submission that Aiden so much enjoys. And then here is Bolts, again, taking an opportunity to show some dominance over Denali while Luna is chewing on Denali's scruff. And Luna, like I say, she's the one that will typically start most of those things. So when she's in a mood, you definitely know that things will happen. So over in retirement, Grizzer got a deer head, and he was not going to let anyone touch it. Even though he lives alone, he was definitely possessing it as wolf care staff came in and continued to walk around with it and cache it and then uncache it and continue to walk with the deer head. That used to be something that Lucas, one of our pack members who was from the 93 litter, used to do quite a bit, so it was kind of fun to watch. And over in retirement, nothing new to report. Fortunately, everybody seems to be healthy, as, again, we're approaching some birthdays here. It's going to be just a couple weeks. It's going to be Bolts all the way through the middle of May, or May 8th is going to be Shadow Malik's birthday. So we've got 7 birthdays coming up here and various stages of the game. So again, this is Malik showing squat urination of a lower ranking wolf and doing a passive kind of scrape in the vegetation, keeping him away from Shadow a little bit. But you can see here again that sensory ability is really affected on these windy, snowy days. Can't tell where scents are coming from. We've had a lynx in the parking lot and also across the road from the center. Lynx are not very common, but it is a very deep snow year, so they are hungry because as the rodents and snowshoe hare can maneuver through some of this deeper snow, the lynx, again, seem to want to come to town and get some food. So that's been causing a little bit of interest in the wolves, not so much anxiety, but we always know if something is around. Shadow is alert, and that alert posture means ears prick forward. So by looking at Shadow, we know something's been in the yard. So that's it for Wolf Care. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.